One of the things I've come to realise the longer I've worked in the field of leadership and management is just how hard it all is. The art of making things run smoothly while creating a vision that will inspire people to work diligently towards the challenge of building a better future while still getting the best out of people is a complex task, to say the least. That, before you layer on the fact that more leaders and managers than not fail to get any form of training on what it takes to be an actual leader or manager. You know, as many as 60% of people in leadership and management positions today report not having been trained on either what leadership and management is or what it actually involves. It would seem that good leadership and management in organisations, in many cases, is more luck than judgment. And with that, I want to turn our attention to one of the authors of the books that shone a light on exactly all the things that I was getting wrong as a leader and manager as I set forth in my first steps of trying to do them both justice in the early days of my career. The masterful Liz Wiseman. Now, for those of you who don't know who Liz Wiseman is, let me give you a brief lowdown on who she is, what she does, and what she's accomplished. Wiseman is a bit of a big thing in the world of Silicon Valley, in the heart of the tech industry in California, USA. In her more recent years running her own company, the Wiseman Group, she's worked with some of the biggest brands on the planet. Companies like Apple and Disney, Facebook and Google, or Nike and Salesforce, a veritable who's who of the Valley. Where in her time with these leaders, she shared some of the great things that she first learned in the 15 plus years that she was at Oracle, another Silicon Valley powerhouse of a company. As Vice President of HR, she not only crafted how Oracle should look after its people, but she also led the creation of the now famous Oracle University. Now, it turns out that Wiseman has a few ties back to who we featured in our previous episode of Masterclass. Not only did she learn her craft at the prestigious BYU in Utah, she also grew up attending the Church of Latter-day Saints, the exact same church that Stephen Covey spent his formative years in. And it would appear there are more ties to the great leadership master that we spoke about in episode 3. In fact, today, Wiseman and her colleagues partner with Franklin Covey in their training and educating of leaders and future leaders around the globe. Wiseman's knowledge and theory in business and management runs deep, having attended some of the most prestigious colleges and business schools the world has today. She not only holds a degree in business management and a master's in organisational behaviour, which she achieved through her time at BYU, she's also completed extensive executive courses at the likes of University of Michigan, UPenn, Harvard, even MIT. It's no wonder that she was not only listed on the Thinkers 50 ranking list in 6 of the last 10 years, but in 2019 she was officially recognised by them as the top leadership thinker in the world. All of this brings us to the wealth of work that Wiseman has created in converting her knowledge into practical guides that can shape a leader's thinking. Wiseman has written 3 books since 2010, and it's her first work that had a huge impact on me personally. Her book Multipliers, a book that masters the art of making everyone on your team smarter. Now this book, it has a bit of a personal backstory in this instance, as it wasn't one that I picked up for myself. I didn't purchase it myself. I'm fortunate to spend a lot of time on the west coast of the US in the heart of Silicon Valley, where the likes of Liz Wiseman hangs out, but it's on the opposite coast that I first came across Multipliers, in a place called Bedford, New Hampshire, on the east coast of the United States. Working with a client myself, their then head of HR shared me into a book club they were holding and presented me with a copy of a book that everyone was reading at that time. Excitedly, she proclaimed that I had to read this book, and through the course of a few hours at various airports and a plane journey home to England, I was literally transported in my knowledge and understanding of what effective leadership looks like. More importantly, I discovered a heap of things that I was personally getting wrong and doing wrong in leading other people. It's safe to say that this book was both revolutionary for me, and that's why I rank it in my personal top 5 leadership and management books still to this day. In Multipliers, Liz Wiseman identified through her research that leaders and managers can control the effectiveness of team outputs by quite some margin. It turns out that effective leaders can leverage as much as twice of the team's capability and intelligence, whereas an ineffective leader garners less than half of that same intelligence. Wiseman refers to this as multiplier or diminisher effect, where leaders fall on a spectrum between the two extremes. Multiplier leaders are able to extract and expand a team's intelligence in order to amplify an organization's collective intelligence. As a result, the effort that a team is willing to put in increases, revenue follows suit, and organizations begin to thrive. Yet at the opposite end of the spectrum, diminishers are so absorbed in their own genius, they stifle others, resulting in the gradual depletion in an organization's intellectual resource. People literally get up and leave when they feel that they're not being used to their full capacity or their full capability. Under a diminisher leader, growth suffers, team members eventually quit, and organizations find themselves scrambling to fill that void. And it all starts with the mindset that the leader has about their role on the team. A diminisher mindset sees a leader consider themselves as central to all that goes on in a team. They carry a thought process that while the team might be smart, they are in fact the smartest, and that no one should be able to figure anything out without them being involved in it. In contrast, leaders who get the most out of people have an opposing thought process, where they consider the talent around them to be key to success. In their mind, the talent was smart when they hired them, and therefore they're probably still smart now, and they'll know how to figure things out and solve problems. They see their role not as the one to solve the problems the team is experiencing, but the one that should enable the solving of problems by others. Now, it turns out that there are 5 common areas that the difference between multipliers and diminishers shows up the most often. And it covers everything from the environment that they create to the results the team can achieve under a leader's care. From a work environment perspective, diminishers often operate like tyrants. They create stress and anxiety, which leads to a space which suppresses people's thinking and capability. Whereas a multiplier creates space that challenges people to bring their best self, their best work and their best thinking to the table. They operate more like liberators, the very opposite of a tyrant in this instance. From a direction perspective, diminishers tend to operate like a know-it-all. The direction they provide, the direction they give, is done so in a way that only proves to showcase their own knowledge and skill. Whereas a multiplier leader, they're more than happy to create opportunity to both expose people and to stretch them also. They operate from a position of challenge rather than a fount of all knowledge and wisdom. With regards to team management, diminisher leaders have been found to be empire builders, hoarding resources but not allowing them to use or fulfill their full potential. In contrast, multipliers act like talent magnets. Their view and use of talent centers around gaining optimal return for the business. And as a result, it acts like a magnet to those who want to be on the team. People flock to be on a multiplier's team in the same way that they will flee a diminisher's rule. From a decision-making perspective, diminishers like to be the decision maker. If they do debate, it's usually tokenistic, as they've already predetermined what the decision is that they want to make. Their constant flip-flopping and abrupt decision-making only serves to create confusion and chaos on the team. Whereas multipliers, they act more like debate makers. They seek out the ideas and input of others in order to achieve the right decision in the right amount of time. And finally, all of this has a natural bearing on how results get achieved. Diminishers micromanage every minute detail of the process, interfering with every detail to ensure things get done just the way that they want it. In total opposing style, multipliers like to give their teams ownership and accountability for the results. They are invested in the overall success of both the individual and the team, and because of that, are happy to instill accountability at the team level of performance, which in turn allows people to grow. There's a warning here, however, a bite in the tail, so to speak. While on paper we can look at these lists and determine right from wrong, we often fall foul of these behaviours without even knowing. Wiseman likes to refer to this as the accidental diminisher. This is where I learned the most, while at the same time discovering all the things I thought were right, in many cases, were having an opposing effect on what I was trying to achieve with my team. It turns out there are 6 types of accidental diminisher behaviours, and they look like this: the optimist, the rapid responder, the pace setter, the rescuer, the ideas guy, and the person that's always on. These are negative behaviours that people set out with best intentions to provide their teams with, yet end up stifling creativity, disempowering decision making, and capping a group's full potential. In their own right, they are all positive traits, but applied in the wrong setting, they can have results limiting impact. You see, the optimist sets out with the intention to create a belief in the team that they can achieve anything. Yet too much of a good thing can leave a team feeling that the leader has no real understanding of the size of the task at hand, and that no plan exists should the team not be able to deliver. The leader's optimism becomes the team's reason to disengage and not believe in the art of the possible. The rapid responder has best intentions to keep things moving along at pace, but in doing so, things only end up slowing down due to the sheer volume of decisions and changes that are being introduced. And with the leader ultimately blind to their part in all of this, and then growing ever frustrated by the lack of actual movement and pace. The pace-setting leader desires a high standard, quality and pace, and therefore sets out with an intent to role model this excellence as an example to those on the team. Yet, in reality, all it does is create spectators, as team members position themselves on the sidelines when they find that they can't keep up with the leader's unnatural pace. The rescuer? Well, they set out to ensure that everybody is successful, but with a hidden darker side agenda of protecting their personal reputation at the same time. And in doing so, the team becomes reliant on the leader for victory to be possible, which in reality only softens the leader's reputation in the long run, as they fail to be able to create a team that can actively stand on its own 2 feet without the leader's input and ideas. The idea people. They have genuine, heartfelt passion for sharing ideas with people. They share their ideas freely in the hope of stimulating thinking in others. Yet in doing so, they simply overwhelm, as team members get lost or frustrated by the sea of ever-changing ideas and concepts shared by that leader. This leaves us, finally, with the leader that's always on. And they do so because of their natural infectious energy, which is demonstrated through their willingness to always have and always share an opinion on things. The issue is, they end up consuming all of the space, and their contributions eventually become just noise to people on the team. They get shut out as people stop listening and they allow their attention to drift whenever in their company. In terms of what you do with all of this, how you use this knowledge to your advantage in being a better leader or becoming a better leader, perhaps start with some self-reflection, maybe around the following core themes. Better still, get people to give you feedback on the following core themes, should you be brave enough to ask. Questions like this. Do I see people as smart and able to figure things out without me, or do I put myself central to all decision making and action? Am I a talent hoarder or a talent optimizer? Am I getting the best out of all the resource that I have at my disposal? Or this, am I creating an environment in which people's creativity and skill can flourish? Or is the environment that I'm actually creating stifling people's potential? Or this, am I creating opportunities to stretch and expose the skill people have in my team? Or am I creating opportunities just to showcase my own skill and capability and at the expense of my team's? Or this, do I engage my team in debate in order to find the right way forward? Or do I tokenistically engage them in the conversation, knowing full well that I know the action I already intend to take? And finally, do I give accountability and invest in opportunity for people to shine? Or am I down in the weeds micromanaging almost every aspect of what my team are doing? The one thing that I've come to realize is that leadership is hard. Not only are people rarely trained ahead of becoming leaders and managers, but there are common pitfalls that we can fall into in pursuit of getting the best out of people. The well-intended leader sets out with the right aims and objectives, but in following popular leadership and management practices that we've often seen in our careers to date, we are subtly or completely unaware of how this shuts down the intelligence of others. That's why leaders like Liz Wiseman and all the others that we'll feature in this Masterclass series give us hope. They offer us a horizon for what better looks like. You can check out more about Liz Wiseman and all of her work by clicking on the link that's provided in the comments section below. And please feel free to check out previous episodes of Masterclass. There's more in the series coming. We'd love to see you.